Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 12 of the 2023 Giro d'Italia. Today's stage, 185 kilometers, 2 category climbs on today's stage. It's a category 3 near the beginning, and then at the end of the stage, just under 30 kilometers to go, they'll summit with 28K to the finish line, will be a category 2 climb. Now, whenever you see a category 2 this close to the finish, but not a summit finish, you know for sure it's not a stage for the sprinters. And because it's not a summit finish, it's probably not really a stage for the GC guys either. If it's a category 2 climb, that's about 10 kilometers long, 6% thereabouts. But the last 5 are pretty stiff on the final climb, so maybe we could see some action with the GC guys. It's a possibility. But before the stage starts, we know that Tao Geoghegan yesterday crashed out of the Giro d'Italia, so they're down one more guy. Along with Tao Geoghegan crashing, though, you had Pavel Sivakov, who dropped out of the top 10 on the general classification and way out of the top 10. So remember what I told you guys there on Beyond the Coverage on the first rest day of the Giro. I said Team Ineos with 7 guys, 5 guys in the top 13. If a big break goes up the road, they need to be represented, right? Well, the philosophy changes a little bit because the details have changed. Now with Tao Geoghegan being gone, that means that the pink jersey, Geraint Thomas for Team Ineos, is basically the sole leader here on Ineos, almost 100% without a doubt. And then with Pavel Sivakov dropping out of the top 10 by so much, that takes away that other threat of Pavel Sivakov too. Now our Insman, he's a good climber and stuff, but nobody really sees him winning the Giro. And if you start risking putting in our Insman up in that front group and trying to put some kind of threat on Jumbo-Visma, you got some problems because you don't know what would happen later. So if I'm Team Ineos and I'm looking at it at Geraint Thomas, I'm thinking we only have 6 guys here. That leaves 5 guys to do the work for one Geraint Thomas, right? So you need to be careful. This is the problem when they have 8-man teams starting Grand Tours. Once you start losing guys to crashes and you're down to 6 and one guy's trying to win the thing, you're down to 5 guys that could ride on the front. Well, the racing's going to start, and lo and behold, to nobody anyways, it's going to be a tax right from the start. It's full gas. They're curb to curb. Everybody's sprinting curb to curb, and we see Quick Step up there, and we see some Alpecin de Koenig guys at the front. Then all of a sudden it goes calm, and then it's Lucas Postelberger at the back of the peloton with his arms all raised up like this. He's probably saying, sorry guys, sorry for yesterday attacking on that last KOM. Could you please not attack going up this climb? Well, that's not going to happen, Postelberger, because it's going to go ape once we hit this first part of the climb here on early in stage 12 here of the Giro. Now, once we see the switchbacks, you know what that means, right? It's time for Ben Healy from EF Education to go to work. Well, he's blowing the group up there. It's in shattered pieces all over the place. Guys are coming out the back. Sprinters like Gaviria are getting dropped early. Then we're going to see Johnny Milan. Now up front, we're going to pass by up front. We look there at the peloton. It's blown up into pieces. We see Team Ineos there setting some tempo. And about a 20-25 rider group is trying to get away right about this point in time. But you see it just start to get pulled back. And then as it's getting pulled back, they come into the roundabout there. They go to the left side. And then you see the field back there start to sit up. As the peloton starts to sit up, what's left of it anyways, with Team Ineos on the front there, trying to let this 20-25 rider group in front of them start to go away. We're going to see Sepp Kuss from Jumbo-Visma jump away as it goes through the roundabout. Sepp Kuss will put a little bit of pressure on Ineos back there because once he bridges up to this group of about 25 riders, that means there's a little bit of a threat if you give this group too much time. But just as Sepp Kuss made it up there, look back there just as they came out of the roundabout. It was Michael Hessman from Jumbo-Visma, a second rider they're going to put in this big break. Now up front, that group of 25, 23 riders, they're going to bridge up to Davide Formula, UAE Team Emirates. For some reason, Davide Formula was attacking like crazy at the beginning of this stage 12. I don't like the tactics. He's too important. Do I like the tactics of Sepp Kuss jumping across? Normally, I always say you stay with your race leader, but they have 8 guys here on the general classification. If they can get Sepp into this move, and it doesn't take a ton of energy. If it was a lot of energy like Davide Formula from UAE Team Emirates put in to get in this front move, I don't like it. But he only had to do one big move, and he's a climber going up that early part of this stage with about 175 kilometers to go as it first started climbing up when we saw all the sprinters going out the back. Sepp Kuss, I know from experience, he does one good acceleration, he's in the break, then you see him at the back of the break. Now the peloton's going to sit up back there as we see Team Ineos on the front, and they're going to start to fan out a little bit. And this group that's become 26 riders is going to start getting a little bit of pace setting because they got Trek-Segafredo up there. And Trek-Segafredo got 4 riders in this front group. Gabriel Xabier is in there. We got Mads Pedersen in there. Tom Squinge is in there. And Bach Mollema. We're talking about some depth here on Trek-Segafredo in this front group of 26 riders. Behind, we're going to see a couple more guys attacking. And then with this attack, you're going to see Johnny Milan. As the peloton has slowed back, all of the sprinters have come back on. And now Johnny Milan's attacking up the right side for Bahrain Victorious. Why is he attacking? Well, in that front group of 26, you got Mads Pedersen that's going for the sprint leader's purple jersey up there. And Michael Matthews from Jayco Alula's in this front group. So Johnny Milan is in trouble. Now, is it a good move for him to be attacking? No, he's one big, gigantic knucklehead this early in the stage to be going full gas right now. Johnny Milan, you've already been dropped on this climb. We're still climbing going up the hill. There's no way you're going to bridge across a minute and 30-second gap, no matter how much the commentators like Sean Kelly is telling you on GCN and applauding the effort here from Johnny Milan. This is a knucklehead move. Why is it a knucklehead move? You're like, Chris, it's a last-ditch effort. He's got to do what he can do to get in this group. Well, let's go back up to the front of this 26-rider breakaway where I told you there's 4 Trek-Segafredo riders. Mads Pedersen, who I said is racing for the purple sprint leader's jersey. If Johnny Milan is coming across while wearing the purple sprint leader's jersey, what do you think Trek-Segafredo would do once he starts to get close? If there's any chance at all of Johnny Milan making this front group, Trek-Segafredo and Michael Matthews, who was already pulling on the front of this group to get these guys away, they're going to go full gas all the way into the sprint line for sure. So there's no chance for Johnny Milan to get on unless, of course, he wants to put his whole Bahrain Victorious team on the front and have them bring it back. Even then, I don't think it's possible because Trek-Segafredo would be pulling like crazy up there. And certainly some of the other teams like Bora Hansgrohe that have 2 riders in this front group. And when we start looking at some of the other teams like AG2R that have 2 riders in this front group, you know this front group of 26 is going to drive it 100% if they're getting pressure from behind. Now, Johnny Milan, what happens to him? Well, he blows up, goes straight back to the back of the peloton, then blows up from there and goes back to the medical car because he needs some help for blowing up way too hard. Now up front, what's happening? Well, Iolo Cometa on the front of the peloton, they needed to put someone in this move, so they started driving it hard, and then Iolo Cometa jumped the guy across, along with one other guy from Green Project that'll jump across and bridge up to the 2 riders that Johnny Milan was with, and that'll make 4 riders. Those 4 will bridge up to the 26 riders with about 140 kilometers to go in today's stage, and now we got 30 riders in the front group on stage 12. Now, what's going to happen? Well, Trek-Segafredo, of course, are going to be on the front. Michael Matthews, like I said, and a bunch of other guys are rotating through. But you look at the back of the group, Sepp Kuss, the American, he's not doing anything. He's sitting back here dead last throughout most of this early part of this stage. And then when we get down to the sprint line competition, we'll see Mads Pedersen get maximum points as he beats Michael Matthews to the line to take bonus points over Johnny Milan, who's back there in the peloton. And let me remind you, the group is 30 riders strong, so there are no points available for the peloton. Now what's happening? Well, we see about 92 kilometers to go. All of a sudden, there's an attack in the group back there as 5 riders go up the road. Samuele Battistella from Astana's in that group, and he had 2 teammates back in the chasers back there, but Astana puts Samuele Battistella in this group. He'll drop a few kilometers later because he's got some kind of stomach issue. That'll leave 4 guys in the front up here. Now the riders, Bora Hansgrohe, Nico Dins is up there, Tom Squinge, Trek-Segafredo, Alessandro Tunelli from Green Edge Projects in there, and Sebastian Berwick from Israel Premier Tech. That's 4 riders going away at basically 92 kilometers to go to the finish line with 26 riders in the back group. What's happening in the back group? Well, they're starting to attack each other left and right as the rain started coming down, and nobody's gelling back there. Let's go back to the peloton as they're going through the feed zone because there'll be a big crash. We see Ineos on the front. Then you look just further back, about 30 guys back there over to the left. We see a crash with Bahrain Victorious and DSM. I don't know who else went down, but you look in the middle of the peloton there, and there's a lot of guys coming down here. Later, we'll see DSM coming through the caravan there, giving the thumbs up. So I assume everybody's okay. The cameras didn't spend much time. Now let's go back up to the 4 riders because they're driving hard. That time gap's starting to extend out to 1 minute and 2 minute time gaps as the group of 26 behind are not racing intelligently. These guys are all amateurs back there. You have 3 Astana riders back there, and one's got a stomach problem, so go ahead with Samuele Battistelli. Put him on the front. Drive it as hard as you can. I saw at one moment where all 3 of them got on the front, looked like they were going to start driving, and then all of a sudden they pulled off immediately and started taking their clothes off and changing clothes and stuff, so it just slowed the pace down again. Now, AG2R have a couple guys back there. They could have put one on the front too, and then every individual rider back there needs to start pulling with AG2R and Astana guys to try to limit the loss to these 4 guys that are going up the road, whose gap is extending up to 2.5 minutes, and then eventually it'll start getting up to 3. When they cross today's finish line with about 50 kilometers to go, the gap is at 3 minutes and the 4 riders are working well together. We finally start seeing some attacks that could get away from the group of 26 back there as we see Alex Bodine from AG2R get up there, Christian Scaroni from Astana's in there, and Bettiol from EF Education. Those guys are trying to do everything they can to get away from the group of 23 and still bridge up to the group of 4 as we're coming into the final category climb here on stage 12 of the Giro. Now, as these 4 riders up front are starting to climb, we're going to see Tom Squinch. Squinch from Trek-Segafredo, he's going to throw in a big acceleration, and this is going to get rid of Alessandro Tunelli from Green Project as he comes off the back. Problem is for the Israel Premier Tech rider back there, Berwick, he was behind Alessandro Tunelli, so he's going to have to do a big effort to bridge back up to Tom Squinch. He has a little bit of help because Tom Squinch has Nico Dins from Bora Hansgrohe sitting on his wheel, and he does not want to pull because he's a big guy. More of a time trial specialist from what I've seen with my experiences of watching him in the professional peloton here racing. Either way, Nico Dins is not taking a pull, so we see Tom Squinch. He's going from the left side to the right side, back to the left side, instead of just going straight up the road. Be the one big mistake there that Tom Squinch made, just trying to slow down and go left and right, trying to get rid of Nico Dins instead of just going full gas. Well, that little bit of cat and mouse up there, that's going to allow Sebastian Berwick there from Israel Premier Tech to bridge back up. Now, Sebastian Berwick, he's feeling better than just a few moments before, and he'll start pulling on the front with Tom Squinch as they're trying to get rid of Nico Dins. You look at the picture of Nico Dins, every time they're pulling hard at the front, he's getting lower on the handlebars because he's using every muscle he possibly can in his body to get up over this final KOM climb. Now, just at the top, we'll see Tom Squinch go over the KOM full gas. He's got Sebastian Berwick on his wheel, and then we see Nico Dins is still surviving. He has made it over the top with the 3 riders. What was happening with the chasers back there? Well, they couldn't gain any time on these 3 riders. So with 28 kilometers to go, we know the 3 riders up front, if they don't make any mistakes, they're playing for this stage victory here on stage 12 of the Giro. They drop down the descent, and with 12 kilometers to go, Nico Dins throws in his attack. He gets a solid gap on everyone as we see Tom Squinch going full gas in between as he's got Sebastian Berwick back there from Israel Premier Tech. That's dangling big time. Now we see Tom Squinch, he's pushing hard. He'll bring back Nico Dins, and then the 2 will again start to play a little cat and mouse. This will let Sebastian get back on after about 2.5 kilometers of chasing back there for the little guy for Israel Premier Tech. Now, Sebastian, he's intelligent here. From the time he gets on with about 9.5 kilometers to go, all the way into the finish, he's going to sit on the back. We see at 7.5 kilometers to go, the riders are looking back at him. We see him at 5 kilometers to go, they're looking back. We see at 3 kilometers to go, Tom Squinch is looking back again. But Sebastian is not taking a pull. This is a perfect tactic for Israel Premier Tech. Then we get to 1.7 kilometers to go. Tom Squinch is on the front, and this is when we start seeing the real games being played. Tom Squinch has had enough pulling on the front. He's going to let Nico Dins, who theoretically should be the faster of the 3 riders, get on the front, but starting to pull at 1.6 kilometers to go is a big ask if you're going to expect one guy to do it. Well, Nico Dins, how does he handle it? Well, he's got a 3-minute gap on the group behind that's gotten all wrapped up and become one group of about 14 riders back there with Sepp Kuss that will get back up to this front group. And we'll see Nico Dins start driving. First, he's on the right side of the road. Then he's looking back all the time, checking out what's happening, but he's not going full gas. Intelligent riding so far from all 3 riders coming into this final K. Nico Dins again is still on the front. We'll see him as they come in about 400 meters to go into the final left turn. He goes from the right side of the road to the left side of the road. He'll look back a couple more times, and then with about 275 meters to go, this is when Sebastian Berwick throws in his attack. He throws in hard, but look at the head there of Nico Dins on the front. He sees it coming, starts his jump at about 250 meters to go. Berwick's got no chance at about 100 meters to go. That's when he'll blow and come see his head drop. We see the head there of Nico Dins. He's going full gas. You see him taking in all the oxygen he can. And then with about 40 meters to go, Tom Squinn's Trek-Segafredo blows up. And Nico Dins, the German rider from Bora Hansgrohe, will cross the line with a victory salute as he celebrates a huge big victory here for Bora Hansgrohe. And let me remind you guys, their GC favorite, Alexander Vlasov, had dropped out earlier here at the Giro d'Italia. So this was a big victory here for Bora Hansgrohe. We'll see Nico Dins, the German rider, celebrate as he comes straight into the camera and gives the camera a big smooch to celebrate his Stage 12 victory here in a great fashion. Along with all his teammates coming across, we'll see back there Patrick Conrad, his teammate that was in the breakaway with him of 30 here on Stage 12. He'll cross the line about 3 minutes, 45 seconds back. That'll help move him up a little bit on the general classification because he was a bit of a threat up there. And we'll see Sepp Kuss finish in the group back there of about a dozen riders, and he'll finish about 3 minutes there behind the stage winner. So he's going to move up a little bit on the general classification too. But originally he was just under 16 minutes down on the general classification. And when we look at the peloton being led in by Ineos with 4 Ineos riders, that's an impressive ride here on today's Stage 12, 185 kilometers with a Category 2 finish where Ineos finished with 4 guys. All the GC guys, though, went up this last categorized climb, curb to curb, smooth and calm the whole time, and I didn't see any attacks put on the pink jersey there of Geraint Thomas. So with Ineos finishing 4 riders, they'll still keep their riders up there, a little bit of threat on general classification behind Geraint Thomas, but of course Geraint Thomas in pink. When I dissect Ineos tactics, I thought they were perfect. They let the group go up the road. There was no real threat in there with the exception of Patrick Conrad, who'll move up a little bit on the GC, but he's not a real threat for winning a Grand Tour. And Sepp Kuss will gain some more time, about 5 minutes on today's stage when it's all said and done, but that still leaves him more than 10 minutes down on the general classification of Geraint Thomas, and we start the big-time mountains tomorrow. Team Ineos going to have their hands full a little bit for tomorrow's stage because it's a summit climb, and it's the first big climb here of the Giro. Now, I've seen a lot of comments being left about all the crashes and how dangerous it's been. Well, all that should start to come down now that we're in the mountains. The flat stages and the medium mountains always cause a lot of crashes because you have a very big peloton. Of course, the rain plays a big part, and so do those crazy attack dogs that they had earlier in the first week of the Giro. But now that we're in the mountains, what's going to happen? Guys are going to be more tired. They can't fight curb to cause the kind of stress in the peloton that causes those crashes. And once we get over the first big mountains, the peloton's going to be blown up, as we saw even on this Category 2 climb. There was only 30 guys in the front group of GC riders anyways. So when we get into tomorrow's stage, those big crashes should start to disappear here at the Giro, and the big-time battle for the general classification is going to start tomorrow on Stage 13 of the Giro. So make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you guys real soon to be able to break down Stage 13 and tell you everything that went right, and all of the knuckleheads like Johnny Milan today trying to bridge across to 4 Trek-Segafredo riders and 1 Michael Matthews while going uphill after you've already gotten dropped. Johnny, you are the knucklehead here on Stage 12 of the Giro d'Italia. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next edition real soon.